Hello and welcome back to a brand new Pick a Side live reaction. The NBA playoffs just keep on getting better. We got two major upsets tonight. John and I are some happy campers. Well, Mr. Dells is sad on the bottom. His team lost. The Knicks made a 20-point comeback to beat the Celtics in game one, and then the Nuggets. Aaron Gordon hit a game winner to beat OKC on the road in game one, fellas. How are we doing before we talk about anything? How was your guys' night?
Fantastic.
Look
Absolutely
at John
fantastic.
smile. I'm good, man. Night was good. Disappointing loss from Boston, but I think there's some positive things. But all in all, it's been a great couple weeks of basketball. I thought the first round of the playoffs was amazing, and the second round of the playoffs. Talk about the Pacers, the Knicks tonight, of course, the Denver Nuggets tonight. All of these teams that I don't want to say people gave no shot to, but all of the opposing teams, looks like Cleveland is this powerhouse, Boston's the powerhouse, OKC's the powerhouse. And all the opposing teams won, all the road teams won. So you never know what you're going to get in the NBA.
That's an interesting point because I didn't realize it until now that the Knicks, the Nuggets, the Pacers all won their game ones.
Yep.
Does that mean that the Warriors are winning tomorrow night?
It might be the underdog story.
It's kind of been that way. Out of all these second round series right now, three of them, game ones have already finished. Which one do you think is most likely to be an upset? The underdog is most likely to win their series.
I hate to say it, but it's going to be the Pacers series. That Darius Garland's big toe is not right because coming to the series, I took the Cavs in 6 under the impression that swelling would be fine. And it turns out the Cavaliers kind of had a more serious injury sneak up on them. And then today it gets reported too that Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter both are dealing with lower body, and in Hunter's case, a thumb injury as well. So that's 3 of your top 6 guys.
Yeah, it's tough because going into that series, I thought the Pacers had a puncher's chance, right? I would have picked the Cavs in 6. I'm pretty sure I missed the episode. You guys did your actual predictions, but I would have picked Cleveland to win in 6, but I knew that wasn't going to be an easy series. That was not a series I was looking at that Cleveland's going to just be able to cakewalk, win in 4 or 5 games like they did against the Miami Heat. The Pacers, in my opinion, were arguably the third best team in the Eastern Conference. So all of a sudden, Darius Garland's injury is more serious than at least I believe. Maybe some other people out there thought differently. And then you had these new injuries, like John mentioned, with Evan Mobley and DeAndre Hunter. And all of a sudden, you're like, the Pacers were, it's probably 65, 60, 40 in the Cavs' favor. Now, all of a sudden, this becomes much more of a 50-50 series. We'll see what the injury report looks like tomorrow. The reports right now are saying that there's a decent chance that, a couple of those guys, at least 2 of those 3, are going to be missing some action. But this Thunder Nuggets series also has potential too. I do think the Thunder will be able to pull it out. But Nikola Jokic is going to dominate. Like a 40-20 game one, him putting this imprint on his game, this series, I should say, got a little interesting because I think we all figured that OKC would at least win the first couple of games, secure home court where they've been so dominant all season long. Nikola Jokic came to play. Aaron Gordon came to play. So those are the 2 series I'm really looking at. Next time, a puncher's chance. What do you think, Joel?
I think we have a legitimate chance.
A legitimate chance, not a puncher's chance. Legitimate.
368 live viewers right now watching. Make sure you guys drop a like. And for the chat, I have to say a little bit of a spiel, but I want you guys to comment right now if you're in the chat what game you want us to recap/react to first. Because I'm torn. Both these games were so awesome. As a biased Knicks fan, I'd love to talk about it first, but I want to do what the chat wants to do. And in the meantime, we'll just plug in Prospects right here because if you guys go to Prospects and use code PAS, you can play $5. You can get $50. Now, throughout these playoffs, we will try to have some Prospect plays throughout it. And if you guys want to help support the pod further, you guys go on Prospects and use that code. It helps us a lot to keep track of all these numbers if people are using our code or not. So if you guys want us to keep that lovely sponsorship, please use that code. Now we have a super chat. No way Boston was going to average 50% from 3 on us all year. Also, Brunson played excellent defense when the Jays switched onto him.
I think the chat wants Knicks first. It looks like 70-30 Knicks, 80-20 Knicks.
Okay, and that transitions perfectly into this super chat right here about Boston averaging 50% from 3 in the matches they played us. Now, Dels, I told you that each game, you thought I was joking when I said it, but I told you that each game, the Knicks have progressively gotten closer and closer and closer to beating Boston. They were 0-8 before this game.
Crazy.
And as a joke, some people thought it was a joke. I told John and Rudy on the stream the other night, I think the Knicks take game one based on how these games have been progressing. I think this is going to be the one. And boy, was it the one. I gave up on the Knicks halfway into the third quarter, 75-55. It was an awful showing. The fouling, can you guys believe, number one, there was 27 fouls in the first half. There's 24 minutes in the first half. There was more than one foul called per minute. I couldn't believe it, but neither here or there. This game was about the third quarter run that was led by OG Anunoby. And then in the fourth quarter, the heroics of Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, a three-point shot, and his defense. And I have to congratulate the man that made it all possible, Jason Tatum's awful game. Thank you for settling for jump shots and not taking it to the basket when a 6'1" point guard is guarding you. Thank you, Jaylen Brown, for settling. Thank you, Derek White, for missing open shots. Jason Tatum was legitimately awful. I mean, look at his numbers. It's disgusting. And it reminded me more of what he was last year in the playoffs. You know, I think the first round versus the Magic was more so like Jason Tatum back in 2022. But this game, we kind of got a glimpse of what Jason Tatum was last year, and he made this Knicks win possible. I know I'm going to get so many people saying this was a fluke win because the Celtics missed the most threes in a playoff game in NBA history. They shot poorly from three. I understand all of that. But if the Knicks had lost this game, that would have been a problem. When a team plays poorly, you have to make them pay and make sure that you'll win those games. And that's exactly what the Knicks did in overtime with Mikal Bridges getting that defensive steal to seal the game. I don't care about those 5 first-round picks. Beat Boston. That's what we're worried about. And I love the effort from everybody on New York. This was, I think, the most passionate, the most guts that we displayed all season long. And just a sneak peek for tomorrow's show, because we will be doing an in-studio episode tomorrow. And a topic on the episode, John, is can Jalen Brunson be the best player in this playoff series? And based on game one, I think he can be. And if he is, I think we have a realistic chance. And I feel a lot better about my New York Knicks, Dels. And I know right now you're scrambling. You're wetting your pants.
Yeah, something like that. So the Knicks have a chance. I just want to make sure we get your side because you
absolutely.
Okay.
The Knicks have a chance. Did you see that performance in game one that we put on display? I mean, you cannot have that great a performance and not have a chance. And I think even though the Celtics had a bad game, I know that's the main talking point. People are not going to give the Knicks their respect. They're going to talk about Boston playing bad. I don't think the Knicks played their best game. I don't think they shot well from the free throw line at all. I thought they fouled a little bit too much. Cat got into foul trouble and couldn't play 40 minutes in this matchup. Cat didn't really play all that well when he was on the court. You could get a much better game from Mikal Bridges as well. So there are still things to look forward to if you're a Knicks fan. This wasn't our best punch. I do think we played much better than Boston, but a win is a win, and we came out with this victory. We stole game one. We stole home court advantage of the series, and we just take it a step at a time. We keep climbing that ladder. That's what we have to do to beat a team like Boston. Just keep climbing that ladder, take one step at a time, and we took that first step. And tonight, if the series were to end, the Knicks would be moving on.
If the series ended tonight, it wouldn't be a series. It would just be one game. But I just wanted to make sure, it's crystal clear who you picked because – coming into the season, you thought that the Knicks had a real chance to do it. And then after we played you guys after opening night, you said there's no way we do it. Then towards the end of the season, even though we beat you 4 times, after that 4th game, you're like, no, we have a real chance. And then after the Pistons won, game 2, and it was 1-1, you're like, oh, the Knicks have no chance against Boston. Then your predictions, they had no chance against Boston. Then halfway through the game, no chance against Boston. Now they do. So I just want to make sure, crystal clear who you side with, what you should. The Knicks had an awesome game. Right, I'm not going to come up here and be like, oh, it's fake. Jalen Brunson he's not doing no, the Knicks had an awesome game. To be down 20 points in that atmosphere against the defending champions and being able to gut out that win when things weren't going your way, right? Cat got into foul trouble early. You had multiple guys get into foul trouble early, right? Jalen Brunson even picked up 3 fouls in that first half. And, you had some of the Mitchell Robinson free throw issues, which is, I think, going to be a big talking point because, New York didn't shoot well from the free throw line, 17 of 31. But I look at, who didn't shoot well. It was mostly just Mitch, and Josh Hart was 3 for 6. But, OG, Cat, Brunson all shot well. It's just Mitchell Robinson, if Boston or if New York ever gets in the bonus, I think that's just something you're going to see. We'll see what, if Tibbs changes that at all, if he goes to more precious, which we saw a little bit here tonight. But Mitchell Robinson going 3 for 10 isn't shocking. But I think this game is, you give the Knicks the credit, absolutely. But I feel like this is a game that Boston really let slip away. You go in that third quarter, you start hitting threes, you go up by 20, and it feels like at this point you're chilling, right? Like you have a 20-point lead. This is a team that you've beaten 4 times already this year. You have their number. You know how to break down their defense. You know how to generate open looks against them. Just keep doing what you're doing. And Boston did some of that. I'm torn because I feel like Boston got a shit ton of good looks. I feel like specifically in that first half, really in the first 3 quarters, I thought Boston got a ton of good looks that really weren't going down, right? They finished the night shooting 25% from 3. They were around that for the majority of the game, right? Sitting around 25 to 30%. I think at halftime, they were 27%. I'm like, I feel like Boston should be up 25 by now with all the open looks they're getting. They just weren't able to get them to fall. But then the fourth quarter comes around, and while it did get some open looks, I feel like most of it was forced 3-point attempts from this team. A lot of settling for jump shots, a lot of contested shots. Shout out to the Knicks who were rebounding the ball extremely well in that fourth quarter. They weren't able to, Boston wasn't able to get second chance opportunities outside of a couple times down the stretch. But reality is the Jays got outplayed bad. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum had, maybe combined their worst game of the season. Jason Tatum goes out there. He finishes the game 7 for 23, 4 for 15 from 3. 15 of his 23 attempts come from the 3-point line against a team that really doesn't have much rim protection, especially in those closing minutes when just Karl-Anthony Towns out there. You really want to see him get downhill more. Jaylen Brown, on the other hand, finishes 7 for 20, 1 for 10 from 3. He hits the last 3. He starts this game 0 for 9. He had a really rough night. And other than Drew Holiday and Derek White at times, it was really hard to find some positive takeaways from this Boston team, at least offensively. So I think it's going to be a good game. A good series, right? I wasn't here to make my predictions. I would have picked Boston in 5 or 6 games, but I never really saw the Boston in 4. This is going to be a cakewalk because you beat a team 4 times in the regular season. I just don't think you're going to go 8-0 against them. They've seen you 4 times. And like you mentioned, Joel, they did come close that last game, right? Went to overtime. Jason Tatum hit a big shot, though, sent to overtime, and they got away with the win. But I never thought this was going to be some cakewalk series. I saw the -900. I'm like, God, why is it -900? That's ugly. But this is a game you just got to tip your hat to Boston. Tip your hat to New York too. Brunson was amazing in that fourth quarter, hitting big shot after big shot. OG Anunoby having damn near a 30-point game. The defense, both of these guys were playing. Cat had a big tip in towards the end of the game as well after struggling in that first half. Josh Hart getting these huge offensive rebounds. It was really a team effort from New York. Jalen Brunson, I thought, was clearly the best player on the court tonight. So if Boston continues to play like this and they're going to shoot 25% on 60-something threes, and Brown and Tatum are both going to play this poorly, yeah, New York has a real chance to win the series and could win the series. But I think what Boston has shown over the years is they're going to have one of these games a series. Maybe they have 2. But in a 7-game series, you're going to count on these guys to be able to show up more often than not. So I still think, Boston takes care of business. But now game 2 becomes a must win. You're on your home court. Can't go down 2-0 heading back to New York. So I'm expecting a bit of a different performance.
What a comeback this was for the Knicks, coming back from 20 points in the third quarter. Joel, you thought you were dead in the water. And I think a lot of people felt that way too. Now, this felt like the perfect culmination of things going right for the Knicks to steal a win and take home court. For one, the Celtics in this game, like Dell's highlighted, took a lot of threes. They took 60. The problem is that they missed 45 of them. And that's the NBA record, which was previously set by the Timberwolves in Game 5 against the Lakers. And before that, it was the Heat versus the Cavaliers, all in this first round and all in this postseason, ironically. I wonder if there's a little bit of correlation there. But with this Boston team, it was an uncharacteristic night. I felt like the shooting, particularly from Jaylen Brown from 3-point range, it's not going to stay that way the rest of the series. 1 of 10 from 3. And I felt like Jason Tatum, while he had 16 rebounds on the day, did settle, and the shot selection was maddening to watch. Him settling, him relying on the 3-point shot, which has been unreliable in the postseason. And when you look at these late game situations, what I go back to in last year's postseason and why I was kind of hesitant to praise Tatum then, is because I want to see him attack more downhill. And I think we'll see that the rest of the series. But today, like you guys highlighted, it was not Tatum's day and it was not Brown's day. And on top of those two things, losing Kristaps Porzingis in the second quarter of this game also played into the hands of the Knicks. Al Horford goes 1 of 5 from 3-point land, and it felt like everything that the Celtics were not doing well was getting matched by the high-level play of OG Anunoby. Hit 6 threes today on 11 attempts. And then Mikal Bridges, 5 stocks, 7 assists, 1 turnover in the fourth quarter. He's getting timely stops. And then Karl-Anthony Towns as well, defensively holding his own on switches, finishing with 13 rebounds. It was not a good offensive day from either of them. Mikal finished 3 of 13. Cat was 6 of 13. That should get better as the series goes on. But for Mikal today to be as impactful on the defensive end while playing 51 minutes as he was, I think that's something to be excited about if you're a Knicks fan. You can feel like the vision that this team had when Leon Rose acquires Cat, OG, and Mikal. You saw a glimpse of that today versus Boston. And even if it took a historically bad 3-point shooting game from a historically good 3-point shooting team, I think that's something to make this series a lot more interesting. So credit to the Knicks. And I think moving on to game 2, the Celtics are going to have a pretty big fire under their ass to come out there and kind of set a new tone.
The way I felt before this series was Knicks in 5. I mean, sorry, not Knicks in 5, okay. Celtics in 5. I apologize. Celtics in 5. That was my post-game reaction brain talking. I had Celtics in 5. I think it's Celtics in 6. I think the Knicks, I think they win another game in this series. And I don't expect Boston to play that poorly. Before they made the comeback, they were down 20 points, 75-55. And I thought they were dead in the water. I was getting my old cat tweets up. I was bringing up the defensive liability stuff. And some of that is still pretty true. But I think you have to win games where teams gift you wins. And this was one of those games that the Celtics didn't play well. And if the Knicks lost this game, I was talking to my cousin while the game was going on. I told him, if the Knicks don't win this game, they're not winning any game this series. Mm-hmm. This is right there for the taking. And Mikal, he didn't score much, but he had timely buckets and he played amazing defense. So for me, I think what this series is going to show me for the long run is if this starting 5 can compete with Boston and you can just add depth in the offseason to fill out the roster. Because I think that's the biggest thing missing from this Knicks roster is the lack of depth and maybe somebody to fill Josh Hart's spot in the starting lineup and then him come off the bench and maybe close out games. So for me, this is really testing the waters to see how close the Knicks actually are to Boston. Coming into this series, I didn't think they were close at all. After game 1 and after this heroic victory, we'll see how this series ends up going, and we'll see how we feel about the Knicks and say, okay, they might be closer than we think.
Yeah, it did feel this game a little 2023 Celtics Heat kind of vibe to me, just because I did feel like Boston was not able to hit any of their open looks. Just some numbers here, a couple from Dan Greenberg. One of these are from Jason Timp. In the fourth quarter and overtime, Celtics were 6 for 29 from the field, 3 for 18 from 3. So that is 20% from the field and 16% from 3. They allowed 5 offensive rebounds, 9 second chance points, and committed 5 turnovers. On the game, we know how poorly they shot from 3, right? Only 25% or 26%. They also only shot 59% at the rim against a team that you're not really looking at saying, no, they got a Rudy Gobert or Anthony Davis down there. So although a lot of it's going to be talked about the 3-point shots, because they took just so many of them, they were also not efficient around the rim. Porzingis missed a couple bunnies. Drew Holiday missed a layup that drove me mad. We also have, did Jason say, oh no, he has it here. Boston generated 25 unguarded catch and shoot threes out of 60 looks. So 25 catch and shoot threes. That's a great number. But you also, the inverse of that is they took 35 contested catch and shoot threes as well. So, you know, it goes both ways. But yeah, it was some really ugly offense down the stretch. And we'll see, you know, if it's 2025 basketball, right? So if a team can shoot this poorly, what Boston has shown us, I actually pulled the numbers because shout out to our guy Mikey Groggins, who, by the way, Knicks are now 1-0 in the playoffs against Boston, Cleveland, and OKC. Don't look now, 1-0. But Boston had, I believe, 5 or 6 games this season where they shot under 25% from three, which is 6% of their total games. 12 games where they shot under 30%, 15% of their total games. So if you pair that with what Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown did today, you could chalk this up as one of their 3 to 4 probably worst performances, and taking into account what the stakes are, probably their worst offense performance of the season.
I mean, the missed 45 threes and lost by 3 points. That in of itself, with Porzingis getting healthy, wasn't right today. I think that this series could still end in 5 games. But at the same exact time, if you're getting that version of OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges defensively for the rest of the series, it can also be a competitive 6. They can get one more game and maybe even fight for a game 7. So I think Boston will respond. But really what it comes back to is Tatum's shot selection, to me, just has to get better. And that's why I've been critical of him this season. I think he can, in moments, shore that up. It's just the consistency of such.
Yeah, I think you guys mentioned it. I mean, the Celtics probably not going to shoot that poorly again here, but I do think all the Knicks have to do is keep the game close heading into the 4th. If the game is close with under 5 minutes left, who better to trust than the clutch player of the year? The guy who's been doing it all season long.
I think you said that last year for the Mavs Celtics series. Just keep it close. One side's got Luka, one side's got Tatum, and just didn't work out.
Hey, they shot 17% on a wide open 3.
They were close. They were close in a couple of those games, brother.
They were. I mean, listen, you don't have no room to talk. Tatum played terrible today. Now, Beat Soup goes, no way Boston was going to average. No, I read this already. Sorry. We'll read it again. Fuck it. No way Boston was going to average 50% from 3 on us all year. Also, Brunson played excellent defense with the J switched onto him.
He did play great defense. Yep.
Dave Valensky goes, both games are awesome. The road team getting 2 major upsets, even though I think that OKC is going to lose to Denver. What an amazing comeback by Denver and New York.
Absolutely.
I can't wait to talk about that Nugget game because that was one of my favorite playoff games I've ever watched.
Come in soon. You ever realize John looks like Johnny Bravo's son?
Have you gotten that before, John?
No.
Oh, first time for everything. I
comparisons every day for some reason. Jay Was Rap God. Shout out to PAS for these post-game reviews every night. Thank you for watching them. Joel and John, how confident are y'all in your team's winning the series on a scale of 1 to 10? Right now, I'm at a 10. After game 2, it might jump down to like a 4, depending if we get blown out or not. But right now, I feel good. Right now, I think it's okay. We landed the first punch.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that matters sometimes. Landing that first punch and gaining that confidence in the team, saying, if I hit you once, I can hit you again. Papa, 2-piece.
Right. I felt like my confidence meter would be a 4 coming into game 1. After watching the Nuggets start off as sluggish and play as sloppy as they did today and still steal home court, felt a lot like game 1 versus the Clippers, where a game like that could set a stage for the rest of the series. So I think my confidence raises a little bit here, probably to a 5 to a 6.
In this next super chat, Nick Perez goes, Joel fake, bro. Stay over there.
Damn.
I know who you are. You're not even a Knicks fan. You're a Heat fan. If your team is not in the playoffs, shut the fuck up. We don't want to hear how he gonna police me on how to be a fan, and you're a Heat fan, bro. I don't want to hear that.
You can really hear Joel's vitriol from Miami through those words.
I hate people that try to police people on how to be fans. They were down 20 points and they won and they came back. I don't give a shit.
Seems like really attacking Heat Nation here.
No, just Nick Perez. Or I actually like Tyler Hero, but we know what Tyler Hero is. We got Jalen fucking Brunson. Y'all don't got shit to watch over there in Miami. Keep it fucking pushing it. Shut up. Oregano goes, J-Dub is low-key, just a slightly more consistent Jalen Green.
That feels a little
crazy with that.
Yeah,
what
this
J-Dub
is crazy.
Defensively.
Purely offensively, but
this is getting too over the top with Jalen Green and J-Dub comps right now. But the Nuggets beat OKC 121-119. I said this the other night when we did a reaction when the Pistons fouled the Knicks when they were up 3 and then they played the free throw game. I don't like that strategy. I know it's smart sometimes, right? Yeah, it's a brilliant strategy at times. I understand that. But just play straight up. And I thought if OKC played straight up, they had a better chance of winning this game. They were up 3 points. Jokic was out of the game, and they fouled Aaron Gordon, and he knocked down 2 free throws. And then when SGA knocked down his free throws, they were up 3 points once again, and they put Jokic on the line, and he hit 2. And then they fouled Chet, and they played great defense on an inbound to make sure SGA did not get it. And Chet missed both free throws, and that allowed the Denver Nuggets to get a window to hit the game-winning shot. You were only up 2 at that point, I believe, or was it? It was you was only up 1 point at that point because it was 119 and 118. Had OKC just played straight up with 11 seconds left. Worst case scenario, you go to overtime. Best case scenario, you win the game right there. And with the way their defense was playing, I just would have given them that shot. That's number one. I'll let you talk about Denver in a few, John. My only lasting thoughts on this, I'm very impressed by Denver and Nikola Jokic. I think this game kind of cemented that, yeah, Nikola Jokic is the best in the world. He was that spectacular. Been very impressed with Russell Westbrook and the continued contribution to this team. He deserves a lot of flowers. Aaron Gordon, big time shot. Jamal Murray played really well. Christian Brown, he's a big time player. Is it just me? Am I overreacting, or does OKC still feel a little bit trustworthy? And not just with late game decision making, but Chet, 2 missed free throws in the clutch. J-Dub shot 25% from 3. I feel like this has kind of been, 25% from the field, sorry. Yeah. I feel like this has kind of been what everybody's worry is with them. Are they ready for the moment? And so far, it kind of feels like they had 2 close games against Memphis, and then you lose against Denver. I'm not saying they're out of it, but it does feel like a team that's a little bit untrustworthy because of their youth, especially their 3 stars, SGA and Chet and J-Dub. Chet and J-Dub, really, I don't know what I'm getting from them yet. I really don't.
You trust the Nuggets more from a late game standpoint. This game to me, I don't know about you guys, but I've been watching the Aaron Gordon game winner on repeat the last 27 minutes. The Nuggets, the entire game, couldn't open the dam. And every time they would cut it to a 1 or 2 possession lead, really 2 possessions, the Thunder would respond right back with an open 3-point look they would generate. Or more importantly, the Nuggets in this game, they played hard, they played physical, they played balls to the wall. They finished with 20 offensive rebounds in just the first 3 quarters. At the same time, they started 4 of 21 from 3-point lands. Because this Thunder team, what separates them is that it's the best defense in basketball. You have the best allegation and perimeter defenders to a point where, all right, Cason Wallace is guarding Jamal Murray full court, Peyton Watson sets a screen, and then, you get Shai Gilgeous-Alexander pressure in the ball, and Jalen Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, and company and help. That is a very tough task when they're not respecting your 3-point shooters to start this game, really at all. And Nikola Jokic, every time he would get a post entry in the paint, he would have Chet or Isaiah Hartenstein one-on-one, and then there's 2 to 3 extra bodies sitting in the paint ready to help. And I felt like even though they're able to get Chet Holmgren in foul trouble early in this game with Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon both playing through his chest, he used his length to bother and disrupt Jokic a little bit. And despite the Nuggets having 21 offensive rebounds by the end of the game, the Thunder did a great job of preventing them from scoring off putbacks and tip-ins. And I felt like really until the end of this game, it came down to composure, and the championship team with more gravitas and experience pulled through in a game they really didn't have much business winning on the road. I mean, if we're being quite honest, they had 18 turnovers. They shot 31% from 3-point land. And Michael Porter Jr., I'll get to Russell Westbrook in a second because I've fallen in love with Russ. Michael Porter Jr. goes 1 of 8 to start this game, playing with one shoulder, basically. And this Nugget playoff run has been defined by the growth and the expansion and the addition of Russell Westbrook. Because when they won a championship in 2023, oftentimes Michael Malone would go to Bruce Brown to close games over MPJ. MPJ was younger, less experienced, and less disciplined. And that raised his level of play. This playoff run's different because he's not healthy, and I think it's one thing from even be playing while hurt. I think that's respectable. And Russell Westbrook in this playoff run has been arguably better than Bruce Brown 2 years ago. He's been making his shots, maybe not today necessarily, but his pressure defensively, his intensity getting to the rim, and finishing pretty damn well today. In terms of his 2-pointers, he went 6 of 8 from the field. It's been a total difference maker off the bench, and he's someone they've been able to continuously count on to close these games. I also felt like at the end of this game, what really kind of gave the Nuggets the edge was the final few series where I think it starts with Mark Daigneault challenging to play, where Shea tells him, do not challenge, it's a foul on me. It's a Jokic getting the foul line, you lose your challenge, etc. And then a couple minutes later, you're getting to the end of this game, it's the foul game. Chet Holmgren misses both free throws. The Nuggets are able to get a pretty insane shot attempt considering Nikola Jokic didn't even touch the ball. And I feel like that was a testament to just how much not only Russell Westbrook and Aaron Gordon have stepped up, but also the likes of Christian Brown and Jamal Murray in some of these gotta have it situations, because those guys, that supporting cast, they have championship DNA. And I think at the end of this game, that showed through, whereas Oklahoma City kind of did tend to fizzle up in those final few minutes. And they blew a game they should have absolutely won. And before I finish, Nikola Jokic today, 42 points, 22 rebounds, and 3 stocks. So
he was insane. I feel like this series, I feel like the Clippers series tested them for this series with the amount of close games they played in that series and coming away on top. How do you feel about OKC? Do you think this is just it's just a loss? Don't overreact too much, Dells. Do you feel like there's some untrustworthiness with this? Because this game was close and they got 20 points from Alex Caruso.
Yeah, I think it's normal to not trust a team when they haven't won a championship yet. I feel like we did that with Boston year in and year out, and up until they won a championship, everyone was right. So I feel like any team, especially younger teams in the playoffs, when you have guys like SGA, J-Dub, Chet, who haven't made even a conference finals run yet, I think it's fair to question them what they look like in the biggest moments. But on the other hand, they did go through an 82-game regular season where they were kind of comfortably. I know them and the Cavs were neck and neck, but they had an historic season. With that being said, it was what struck me the most was how easy Denver was able to generate offense, especially in that second half. First half, they struggled a bit. They ended up only scoring 50 points going into halftime. The second half, they put up 71 points, including 36 points in that fourth quarter, outscoring the OKC Thunder by 7 points. This was an historic defense, the Thunder in the regular season. One of the best defenses we have ever seen in our lives in terms of a defensive rating perspective. They were shutting down everybody. Did not matter who they were playing. The fact that Denver was able to go out there and really whenever they want, be able to get good looks and generate good looks, and Nikola Jokic, how dominant he was, even when you have two bigs in Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein, who dealt with some foul trouble, but Jokic was able to go at them. They're just not strong enough. They're not big enough to be able to guard him. I know Jokic is going to go home tonight, and thank God that every night he does go up against Zoo, and now he go up against Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein, and they're fantastic defenders in their own right, but just not as big and strong and really grown, for lack of a better terms, compared to a guy like Ivica Zubac, who really had Jokic, I wouldn't say in hell, but gave him as much trouble as we've seen Jokic be in any sort of playoff series. So I still think the Thunder can win the series. I still think the Thunder should be favored, just because what they've shown us so far this year is that as long as they're healthy and they have that starting 5 out there, SGA at any given night can be the best player. I know J-Dub didn't have a great game. I know Chet didn't have a great game, but we're coming off a series where I think both of them looked really good. And going into this series, we felt as confident as we ever did that those guys would step up in those moments. And it's a really rough game from J-Dub, going 5 for 20, missing some key shots down the stretch. But it did feel like Daigneault, dropped the ball a couple times there. I agree fouling up 3, right? Just generally speaking, it's usually a good strategy. Started fouling when there was like 13 seconds left on the clock. And this is a Denver team that we know is not a 3-point shooting team, right? They're going to be bottom 5 in the league the last 2-3 seasons. They're, like John mentioned, they shot 30% from 3 this game. And of course, it's hindsight, right? Because if you don't foul and they hit a 3 to tie the game, we're going to be up here saying, oh my God, how didn't you foul? But we do have the hindsight. And to foul, with 12, 13 seconds left feels like a little bit too much time. To foul again when Nikola Jokic wasn't even in the game and they didn't have a timeout, so they couldn't stop the clock to get him subbed in. That felt like a bit of a mistake. With all that being said, Chet Holmgren missing those 2 free throws at the end of the game is really the biggest difference. We could talk, to the damn crows or whatever the hell the saying is. Damn roosters talk in the morning, and they're out here just going crazy. But what it came down to was Chet had a chance to put the game away in the fourth quarter. Chet had a chance to end this game, and he didn't. And he came up short and missed both of those free throws. And even when he was shooting them, I was like, he was just sitting there mad long, just kind of waiting. Maybe that's his normal free throw routine. And I never noticed how long he waits at the free throw line before shooting them. But as much as he just paused and felt like almost second guessing himself, I kind of felt the miss coming. So a big credit to Denver, who was down, felt like 10 points the entire game. Were never able to make it even like a one possession game, 2 3-point game. And with like 2 minutes left, they go on this improbable run, hit big shots, hit big threes, none bigger than Aaron Gordon, who has anyone had a better week than Aaron Gordon? That dunk against the Clippers, this 3-point shot against OKC, both game winners. So shout out to the Nuggets. This is going to be a fun series. And Nikola Jokic putting up 40 and 20. It feels like, just another another day for Nikola Jokic, another day in the life for him. But what he does night in, night out, it's really unbelievable. And I don't think there's really any second doubt in my mind that man's the best player in the world.
He has 27. He has 7, 20, and 20 games in the playoffs.
He's crazy.
That's how unbelievable the stretch that he's been on has been. Just the prime of his career. Just how elite he's been. OKC's offense down the stretch was so sluggish. I was waiting for SGA to do something, and it either ended up with a bad shot late in the shot clock or in the hands of J-Dub or Isaiah Hartenstein. And Isaiah Hartenstein took this like fadeaway mid-range shot that it was like, wow, that's it was like an awful shot. I just didn't really get a real flow from OKC. They haven't played in a while, so there's that element to it. But they're not going to have an answer for Jokic. Zubac was a much tougher matchup for Jokic than anybody in OKC is going to be. And in the regular season, Denver generated a great offensive rating against OKC. And I think the most dangerous part about Denver and how they're playing right now is for a team that looks dead in the water before they fired Mike Malone. Since they fired Mike Malone, they went 3-0 in the regular season. They won a playoff series, and now they just beat OKC. So overall, they're 8-3 with David Adelman, and the biggest change has been their defensive intensity. That's been the biggest thing that stood out to me. And Jokic in the first round had the best defensive series of his career, you can argue. So I think a Denver Nuggets team that is playing great defensively, that is always going to have a high floor on offense, that is going to be a very tough challenge for OKC.
It's like they're a well-oiled machine, Joel, wouldn't you say?
Oh, it's back, John. I'm glad.
I told them that was in our playoff preview round 1, and they laughed at me.
Oh, I was there.
I'm sorry, my memory is blurry. I'm still watching Aaron Gordon
David Adelman
catch and shoot 3 per game. This is another part of Nikola Jokic's evolution as a player. Him becoming a vocal leader. Now that Michael Malone has been fired,
he was never the head coach
ripping into his teammates in the first half of this game. And to see a player like that, when you're a teammate of his and you're a younger guy, I think it is a call to action for these guys to kind of raise their level of intensity. And you see, even when they're making mistakes, I mean, there are a handful of bad turnovers when they try to push the pace and they lost it. And then Alex Caruso, he had 20 points. It also felt like he had every single loose ball in this game. He spawns out of nowhere and immediately is getting a steal going the other way. And it's these power plays. With all that in mind, I think the reason why you see a lot of these role players stepping up is because of his leadership qualities. And Aaron Gordon in this postseason is averaging 19 points per game. It's not just the 2-game winners. It's the fit that he brings, and that chemistry with Jokic is something you can count on night in and night out. Last series, it tired Kawhi Leonard because physically he can match up with many players around the league. But what's even greater than that is the consistency in the fourth quarter that he gives you. This is somebody who, after game 4 against the Clippers, had reports by Mark Spears saying he could barely even jump. And his legs look pretty good to me right now. So he is, when you look at the NBA the last 5 years, give or take, one of the biggest landscape-defining trades of any player in the midseason, especially a superb role player. And it's even kind of hard to call him that because he feels like a guy like Derek White last postseason, who continues to grow in a great situation to the point where you can't even call him quite a role player. He's an elite one. And I feel like that addition into Denver, it's what's allowed them to have this type of floor.
It has. And I think this is going to be a tough series for OKC. You know, I got OKC in 6, but you take game 1. I think OKC is so interesting because they're such a young, inexperienced team. They lost to Dallas last year because their role players couldn't shoot when it mattered. And you're down 0-1. I think they win game 2, so it's going to be tied 1-1 going to Denver. And you're going to Denver, an atmosphere that is high altitude. It's arguably the toughest place to play on the road. How is that going to look? Like things have kind of swung to Denver a little bit, and like Denver being an experienced team and understanding this team hasn't accomplished anything and is very young and inexperienced, they're kind of feeling like, okay, they aren't all that, you know, and I'm not saying they're not all that, but just from Denver's perspective, winning this game, they're probably feeling like they're very beatable. And then you look at the record that OKC had against Denver and Minnesota in the regular season. It wasn't that great either. So I think OKC, I know they had some injuries in those games, but overall, like OKC against top West competition, the top of the top, the teams that you got to worry about, they didn't have a good record against those teams.
The thing that I just feel great about is that even if they're unreliable shooters, I don't expect Denver's supporting cast to start 4 of 21, including Jokic from 3. And if that improves, I feel like it's a lot more sustainable for them to win tonight.
Who do you got winning the series, John?
I took the Thunder to win in 6 games.
You sticking
after this game, Dels? I got going 7.
I get them 7.
Yeah, and people are gonna call me, you know, a fake fan.
Let them call what you
may
want.
be. But when you're playing a 68 win team with the best perimeter defense, the best defense all together in the NBA, perimeter, transition, around the rim, it's a test of the Nuggets I didn't think would be quite ready for. But today, their supporting cast showed that they are up to the task. And I think another core part of this, too, is Russell Westbrook going to stay in ovation here, playing against his other former team, the one that drafted him back in his days when he came here from Seattle, drafted by the Sonics. And I think that, too, was another very cool layer of this game.
I don't think there's enough Denver fans out there that care enough to call you out on a change of opinion. It's also Colorado. They were kind of the first state to legalize a certain drug that kind of just makes it chill.
It's chilling.
I will say, like, we talk a lot about OKC, what they did in the regular season. I just talked about it a bit too, but I know Denver's thinking this way. I know every team around the NBA is thinking of it. What we did in the regular season is cool, but right now OKC is a team that is, what we're looking at, 4-2 in the playoffs, right? Like you could, whatever you did in the regular season, that's great. Boston was 4-0 against New York and probably had a plus 90 win margin in those 4 games, right? But get to the playoffs, it's 0-0, and it doesn't really matter. So as great as OKC was in the regular season, you know, you can't have these moments down the stretch where you're not able to generate good offense, where you're fouling a bunch too. I know some of them were a little ticky-tacky, and I get that. And I didn't love how really both these games were officiated. I feel like there's some games that are just so physical, like we saw in the first round. And now all of a sudden I feel like the second round started, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, we're going back to regular season fouls, and we're just going to have a call every other second. Jokic went to the line a ton. Shea got a couple free throws as well. But it's going to be a fun series.
Yeah, the last thing I'll mention is just back to the decision to foul. Best defense in the league. Just play straight up. Playing scared when you have the best defense. And the possession before, J-Dub had a clutch block that potentially I thought won them the game at that point. Just play straight up. You have the best defense in the league. Like, why are you playing scared? I just don't understand it. Super chats here. Cheeseheads and the Bear podcast. Shout out to them.
Shout out to Cheeseheads and the Bear.
GOAT podcast with 2 fire emojis. We appreciate you guys. Keep doing your thing. Tones G goes, who you most worried about, the Celtics, Cavs, or OKC? I would say the Cavs because of their injuries. I just think they have a lot of things going up against them that we didn't expect.
Yeah, it sucks because I hoped and I pray that this will be the postseason where we see the Cavs at full strength. And at this current point, I'm tempted to say like we're gonna have that in round 2. So I'm going with the Cavaliers too.
Yeah, I'm with you guys.
Jay Greedo goes, Jokic got free throws like 3 straight trips in the fourth, and Shea is called the free throw merchant. # noticing.
Jokic flops and wails his arms just as much as anybody in the league. He gets the calls because it's Jokic, but yeah, no, I notice. Everyone notices.
Hey, John. Tatum shot 1 for 9 in the fourth quarter in overtime. Was he out of shape in this game? 44 minutes
I'm not
played?
going to say that. I'm not going to say that.
Wasn't 46, Dels.
He's not out of shape. Played 44 minutes.
Luka played 46.
Yeah. Tatum was just ass.
Yeah, he didn't shoot well.
He was dog shit.
Yeah, no
denying that.
Out of shape though, huh?
I don't want to hear that.
He was just terrible.
No, it's funny that Luka doesn't have a center, and he's the conditioning. He's blamed for the conditioning on why the Lakers lost.
What is happening to center? Do anything with it?
Luka is fine.
There you go.
I mean, I'm excited to watch him play in October.
Well, he's going to be playing some Eurobasket with Slovenia.
So I forgot. He's healthy now. The playoffs over. He's healthy again.
You should tune into that.
He's back. Yeah. He's fine.
You should tune in. Mikal Bridges, real Iron Man, 55 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
55 minutes. Oh, yeah. Okay. And then Slim said it perfectly. And that will do it for the Pick a Side podcast. Same thing tomorrow. It's been real. Goat Joel Moran. I really appreciate you, Slim, for saying that. Tomorrow, no live reaction. We are going to do an in-studio podcast, which means that you guys will get a full episode podcast in the studio instead of the live reaction. So you guys are going to be able to tune into that and watch that. You guys can follow us on Twitter at Pick a Side Pod, on Instagram and TikTok at Pick a Side Podcast. Thank you guys for tuning into the live stream. We have 698 viewers. Make sure you guys hit that like button. And if you guys want to support the podcast further, go to Prize Picks and use code PAS. We appreciate you guys. Have a lovely night, and we'll see you guys next time.